Most of the time, life appears to us to be completely solid and permanent. We believe this fixed view of our bodies and our thoughts and the projections of our lives and the world around us. Believe it's all true. According to Buddhism, this habit of misapprehending everything we experience is the root of all of our problems. In particular, when we think that I am real, solid, and unchanging, we put all of our energy into defending the happiness of this I at the cost of everything and everyone else. The Buddha realized this is the greatest ignorance we suffer from, and with his earth-shaking teachings on emptiness, he said, wait a minute, the world isn't as concrete as you think. Why don't you analyze what you call reality very, very carefully and check to see if it really exists the way you think. The truth is, nothing exists as it appears. And by realizing this, you'll create a happier situation for yourself and for others. This wisdom that realizes emptiness is extraordinary and it has the power to free us at any moment.
The Buddha's wisdom teachings on emptiness are complex and difficult teachings, not easy to understand. It's particularly important that one prepares the mind before listening to these teachings with an appropriate motivation that opens the mind to being able to understand and absorb them. This is similar to tilling the soil of a garden in order to be able to plant the seeds of enlightenment. Therefore, now, in your mind, make a strong determination, generate a strong motivation to be able to traverse the spiritual path, to understand the Buddha's teachings on emptiness, in order to free yourself from the bonds of samsara and to reach enlightenment in order to be able to also free all suffering living beings.
Very important point, you see, to release our confused mind or the confusion, to cut our hallucination, this the biggest suffering in our life, which continuation, this hallucination we had from beginning this is samsara birth, this hallucination, you see, the truly existence, appearance, you see, that which is apprehended by the root of samsara, which is apprehended by the ignorance, the king of the delusion, see, the ignorance, the mind not knowing the ultimate nature of the phenomena, such as the mind not knowing ultimate nature of the I, which is the root of samsara. So therefore, this is a very essential point to essential point to know what is the false, what is the truth in your life. So in order to realize in this, first you have to recognize objectively repeated the false I, which is you have to recognize the false I, which is false. Root the ignorance, not knowing what is I. Even though we think I 24 hours, we talk always I, like chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. We think I 24 hours. We say we think I, but do not know what is I. We fight for the I. We fight for this I. We kill other people. We kill even for this I. Even we have to kill people, kill other people, other sentient beings. Create so many, give so many harms. Killing, stealing, sexual conduct, telling lies, so many harms to give so many harm to others for this I, for to protect this I, for the happiness of this I, to give happiness to this I. But we do not know, but no idea what is I. No knowledge of what is I. This false I is the inherently existing I that which appear to you, even though it's merely labeled, but appear you not merely labeled. So this is there, this appearance there, from beginningless is birth up to now, but you never recognized that that is false.
I suppose the ultimate analysis to overcome attachment is to analyze the nature of I. And also, when we analyze the nature of self or the persons we are attached to, like I mentioned before, we can't pinpoint the real person there that we are attached to. So we end up with a sense of emptiness, and not the ordinary emptiness like an empty room, but just the emptiness of not being able to find that object of attachment. But that doesn't exist there in that person the way we perceive it. So when you experience the emptiness again, mind becomes very happy and relaxed. And the same when we analyze ourselves, if we are in a state of attachment and greed for something, then one can analyze, where is this greedy me? Where does this greedy me exist? How does it exist? So then you try to look. Is it my body? Is it my mind? You try to investigate, where is this greedy me? Is it oneness with my mind? Am I greed? Am I in the nature of greed? Can't be, isn't it? Because then you would have to be greedy all the time. So I'm not my greed. My greed is just a moment state of my mind. Okay? So who is greedy? You know, when you research inside, you can't pinpoint this independent self that is sitting there somewhere being greedy. It's completely not there. Again, emptiness, you know, space. Makes you feel happy. Suddenly, greed is gone because there's nobody there being greedy. And you know, the emptiness is the ultimate method to eliminate negative states of mind, because they are based on a false view, you know. When you research the correct view of the self, negativity goes, definitely goes. It has no foundation. It drops down, and wisdom comes. You know, with wisdom, this negative states of mind doesn't have a chance. And with wisdom you feel satisfied. It satisfies you, it makes you content. You feel good inside, you know. That's the ultimate solution to attachment and to negative states of mind. And this all have to be learned in meditation. So it's all part of meditation practice. But don't think that there are no methods to overcome negativities. In Buddhism, plenty of methods. It's just a matter of we need to practice it, you know.
According to Buddhism in general, you have the conventional mode of how things exist, which is the Davidness of David and the carpetness of carpet and the cupness of cups and like that. They've all got their own distinct conventional mode of existing, and they're all kind of within that context exist, conventionally speaking. Then you have the ultimate or final mode of existence of things, okay? And that's, if you like, the same for everything. So ultimately, Buddha would say, you cannot find inherent, self-existent glassesness. Glasses are empty of being inherent, findable, real, in and of themselves glassesness, which is how we grasp at everything, Buddha would say, due to this fundamental ignorance in our mind. It is empty of that. And empty in this sense simply means lacking that type of existence. But the ignorance within our mind, Buddha is saying, which is completely pervasive, absolutely clings to that, believes it, sees it 1,000,000,000% unceasingly. And it's a total, big, fat, rotten lie. And it's the mother of all lies, the cause of all suffering, the cause of universes, finally, the cause of everything. Okay, Buddha says it is empty of all of this. Ultimately, you cannot find glasses. Ultimately, there is no glasses from its own side. There's no David from its own side. There's no carpet from its own side. There's no kaka from its own side. The emptiness of everything, the emptiness of kaka and the emptiness of you is the same. All are empty or lack an ultimate reality, a final a findable inherentness. Conventionally, nevertheless, we indeed can point to glasses, not a problem. There are glasses there, and it would be very stupid to call it a cup. You'd be in trouble. Coffee would burn you. So the thing is, right now, there's this huge contradiction when we hear about, oh, there are glasses. Grasp. No, sorry, there are no glasses. Oh my God, chuck them out with the bathwater. We go too far. We have these two extreme ways of seeing. So we either cling to everything as having an inherent eternalistic nature. Now, interestingly, philosophically speaking, Buddhism would say that Christianity and Hinduism and Islam have this view. Just talking philosophically, not being sectarian here. Okay? Have the view of real, solid, self-existent something, real, solid, self-existent out there God, real, solid, self-existent soul. Buddhism would assert that it's not possible to be this. Buddhism would argue with the Christian and say, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Yes, there's God, but Buddha, but is interdependent. Everyone can become it, like I was saying before. It's just a philosophical discussion. And that the view we have of self-existent God out there and soul and absolute and permanent and inherent is a product of this fundamental ignorance that posits that, therefore doesn't see this. So these two extreme views we have, either the nihilistic one, chuck the baby out with the bathwater, or, oh, grasp, you know. And these are the instinctive ways that our mind thinks now. So what Buddha says is there's this view that ultimately there is no glasses, but the more you understand how there is glasses conventionally, in its appropriate way, the more you get that it's empty. And the more you realize how there is no glasses from its own side, the more it helps you understand conventional. Okay, the shorthand for conventional reality is dependent arising. That means it's a dependent arising. It arose in dependence upon causes and conditions. Now, karma is causes and conditions for me. Right now, because of ignorance in my mind, I cling to and believe in a self-existent, real, solid, out here, schizophrenic, separate, made by somebody else, hopeless victim me-ness, which gives rise to attachment and anger and pride and jealousy and all the suffering, right? All coming from this fundamental ignorance, this fundamental misconception that is the exact opposite of the truth, that I'm a completely interdependent scenario. So because everything is empty, there can be even karma. Therefore, there is no real glasses. Therefore, there is no real Rabina, self-existent, solid, poor victim, mean, nasty, horrible David. They are the creations of ignorance.
The way suffering ends is it ends through insight. And it's the insight that comprehends exactly how it is that the self actually exists. It's the insight that shows us, that tells us directly that this self is impermanent, exists in dependence on other things, not independently and all in its own right. And so with that, having gained insight about how we ourselves exist, we can put a complete end, we can burst asunder the ignorance that was the root cause of samsara. Therefore, gaining wisdom is equivalent with gaining enlightenment. The wisdom that realizes the actual nature of how things exist is a wisdom realizing this famous principle in Buddhism, shunyata, variously translated in English, emptiness, voidness. Oh, and some people say, well, you know, seems like a despairing kind of religion, you know. Ooh, you know, pessimistic. Oh, there's nothing. Nihilistic. Oh, there's nothing. Oh, so, you know. But in fact, shunyata is the emptiness, voidness of what? Buddhists go on, you know. They go on. You have to find out of what something is empty. Oh, and then there's nothing mysterious at all. There's nothing mysterious about it. I am, you are, every single thing, all selves and all things in existence are empty of an independent existence. That's all. Therefore, it's simple, you see. Therefore, things are not independent. Therefore, things are dependent and interconnected. All things are connected, you know. So the wisdom that comes to see selflessness or emptiness or voidness immediately experiences, and so we can feel these things. It's direct and unmediated knowledge. Immediately feels our connection with all things. So why would I think about harming that other person? He's me, you know. Why would I think about chopping down that tree? It's me, you know. So it's in our relationship with all other things, you know. And this is, compassion springs from this. There's no way to hold it back.
On a conceptual level, I think it's really important to explore the nature of emptiness from a logical point of view. That it's impossible that we exist in our own separate islands and that we exist from our own side totally. We are dependent arisings. Everything about us is dependent on a previous moment and dependent on causes and conditions. And that's the same with everything supposedly out there, is also not there from its own side. It's not powered from purely its own side. It has no concrete longevity to it. We're all in process. We all have a prior cause. We're all in movement, moving to a new effect, which is the cause of the next effect. There's nothing concrete about any of this. And the appearance of concreteness is ignorance. That's the thing we're fighting. Now, the essential antidote to that is to at least have a strong belief in emptiness. That things are empty of inherent existence. They're empty of that solidity. There's empty of a me-ness, of a you-ness, of an I-ness. And when you take that, as His Holiness says, you take the mantra of me, I, out of the mental sphere, it has an incredible transformative effect. Also, you start to understand the interconnectedness of all things. Even on the simplest level, there's nothing that we see around us that we did totally ourselves. Now, being able to detach a little bit, having some experience of emptiness, even if it's imaginative, you can detach from that kind of identification with emotion and with mindsets that create a kind of static solidity to all events and situations. So clearly, as an actor, I got to be able to do that all the time, moving in and out of seemingly operatic, emotional, and conceptual situations, and try to maintain a sense of cleanliness about it all. That it is, in the end, just a narrative. It's just a story. And the story comes and it goes. But that space that it emerges from remains. That is solid. And that's that space of openness and clarity, of knowing. It is uncontained, has no center, has no boundaries. Yeah. So again, the more that you're able to see this kind of dreamlike, illusory nature of this narrative that kind of emerges and intoxicates us in these kind of mysterious, magical ways. If you can see that for what it is, at the same time generating a stability in this other space, which is much more expansive and certainly loving, life's problems tend to fall away.
I think it helps me get less emotional about things. Not dull or indifferent, but just less attached to my feelings towards something, because how I'm seeing it is only according to my karma. And if I like it, then I can be happy with my karma. If I don't like it, I can be unhappy with my karma, but having the emptiness is that's a real refuge. That's the liberating part.
knowing that what I see, if it's horrible and terrible, I'm having a bad time, it's okay. It's just what I'm experiencing right now. Nothing to do with reality. Nothing to do with something that is there. If I really take refuge, I think it's really taking refuge in the emptiness of myself, of everyone, and of the things I see.